Hey guys! In this video, we will take a look at 13 Chinese radicals whose meanings are related to different kinds of people, what they do, and how they feel. Understanding these radicals should help you learn and remember new characters more intuitively. Let's dive in. The first radical is also a character on its own. It's called nü and means woman. It's very common in characters that describe someone who is female, like ta for she, gunyang for girl, or wawa for doll, though it can also mean baby. When used as a radical, it is called nü and is predominantly found on the left side of the character. We also see this in all our female relatives. Mama for mother, Jie and Mei for older and younger sister. In Chinese, there are much more specific terms for family members than in many other languages, so there are a lot of characters in this category. Other examples include Saozi, which is the sister-in-law, and Xifu, the daughter-in-law. Sao alone already means sister-in-law, but it is way more commonly said as Saozi. In these cases, I will gray out the other character, zi, as it does not contain nü. Another important thing to understand is that these characters are often so-called phono-semantic compounds. Let's look at ma, for example. Nü conveys the meaning of femaleness, while ma is purely phonetic, although as you can see the tone can differ, or sometimes also the leading consonant, like here, where wei becomes mei. Nü also appears in some terms related to marriage. Qīzi is the wife, Hunying just means marriage, and Chujia means to marry, but only from the woman's perspective, in the sense of marrying out of your current family into another family. Terms relating to beauty and other qualities sometimes also feature nü. Hao means good, and mei hao means beautiful. Qiao miao means clever. Wu mei means graceful. Juang xiu means elegant, and neng means tender. There are also a number of terms relating to feelings, though of course they are not at all limited to women. Jidu means to be jealous. Xianyi means suspicion. Weiqu to feel wronged. Yule is amusement or entertainment. And jiao guang means to coddle or to pamper somebody. And lastly, nü can also appear in names, especially in transcribed names to mark that someone is female, like in Anna, Jenny, or Julia. Zi is a very frequent character in the Chinese language and appears at the end of lots of words to mark them as a noun, for example in kuaizi, meaning chopsticks. But when used as a radical, it carries the meaning of zi, which means son or just child in general. Haizi is a child. Sunzi is a grandson. Huaiyun means to be pregnant, and I think the yun character visually explains itself pretty well. Luang means twin. Xue means to learn. And xiaoshun means for a child to respect and care for his parents. The next radical is one of the most common ones out there. It is the radical version of the reng character, meaning man or human, and it is referred to as dang reng peng. It occurs in pronouns like ni, you, ta, he, or tameng, they, or also in wolia, meaning the two of us. Characters that refer to a specific person will also often include dangreng peng. Huobang is a colleague or partner. 偶像is an idol, 仇人 an enemy, 僧侣 a monk, and 佛 refers to the Buddha. It's also used when talking about someone's appearance. 像 means to look like someone or something. 类似 means similar, or 俊美 means good looking. Or to describe someone's attitude or personality. 健康 means healthy. 仁爱 means kindness. 优 means excellent. As well as some negative traits like 傲慢 arrogant, 假 fake, or 傻 silly. Much like 提手旁, the hand radical from the previous video, 当人旁 is also used in a wide range of actions that people engage in. 做 and 做 both mean to make, but the first one is used for concrete, everyday actions like 做饭 to cook food, whereas the latter appears in more abstract or formal contexts. For example, 写作 means to create a piece of writing. 住 means to live, 休息 to rest, 伤害 to injure, and 偷 to steal. The last two categories are not very thrilling, but still useful to know. We have function words that help structure sentences, like 什么 what, 仅仅 only, 但 but, 任何 any, 仍然 still. And we also have classifiers. 份 is used for portions, for example, 一份报纸 means one copy of a newspaper. 件 is used for discrete items, for example, 一件衣服 one piece of clothing. And 位 is a polite measure word for people, as in 一位老师 one teacher. The next radical looks very similar, just with an extra stroke. It's 双人旁, the double person radical. The double actually refers to two steps, which explains why most of the characters using this radical have to do with movement of some sort. 行动 means action. 往 means towards. 徒步 means hiking. 待 means to stay, so the lack of movement. It also means wait, as in 等待, in which case it is pronounced with the fourth tone. 街 is a street, and 徘徊 means to pace back and forth, or figuratively to hesitate. Next up, we have 言, the character that means speech and also carries that meaning when used as a radical. 信 is a letter, but can also mean to trust. 誓言 is an oath, and 警告 is a warning. 誉 alone means to praise, and 荣誉 means honor. There is also 譬如, which is a more formal version of 比如, which both mean for example. In traditional Chinese, 言 appears in a lot more characters than these, but in simplified Chinese, it got turned into the radical, which we will look at next. In simplified Chinese, the speech radical looks like this, and it's called 言字旁. It is a very common radical when talking about speech and language. 词语are words or expressions. 翻译 means to translate, and 诗 refers to poetry. The different ways in which we speak almost always contain 言字旁. 讲话 just means to talk. 告诉 means to tell something to someone. 读 means to read. 建议 is to suggest. 谢 means to thank, and 请 means to request, and also means please. We also have words relating to discussion, like 讨论 means to discuss, 辩论 a debate, 评论 is a comment or commentary, 采访 means to interview someone as a journalist, and 谈话 just means to have a conversation. Similarly, for different forms of questioning, such as 询问, which means to inquire, 询问 is to interrogate someone, and 谁 just means who. This next one is a fun category. I could have also labeled it fake news. These are terms that describe false or misleading information. 误会 is a misunderstanding. 说谎 means to tell a lie. 谣言 is a rumor. 讥讽 means to mock or to ridicule someone. 诽谤 means to slander or to libel, so basically falsely damaging someone's reputation in spoken or written form. And finally, 言字旁 is also featured in many terms that don't directly relate to language, but rather to some sort of mental activity, though of course these will often still involve a language in some capacity. 认识 means to know or to recognize somebody. 记得 means to remember. 设计 is to design. 调查 means to investigate. And 证明 means to prove something. We'll now look at 力, a character which means strength. It carries that meaning as a radical in words like 强劲, powerful. 优势 is an advantage, and so a position of strength. 勇敢 means brave. 能, the character for male, is comprised of 田, a field, and 力, strength, which makes sense because arduous fieldwork used to be carried out mainly by men. There's also a 成语 called 生机勃勃, which means to be full of vitality. 力 also appears more broadly in terms relating to work, as that usually requires a lot of strength or energy. 劳动 means labor, both physical and mental. 努力 means to try hard and do one's best. 勤奋 means to be hardworking and diligent. 任务 is a task, and 功课 is homework. Then we also have some terms of encouragement, like 勉励, which means to encourage. 帮助 is to help, and 劝说 means to persuade someone. We now move on to 士字旁. 士 used to refer to an altar, so characters using 士字旁 often have a religious meaning. 礼拜 means to attend a church service, but is now more commonly used to mean weekday. For example, 礼拜天 means Sunday. 祈祷 is a prayer. 祭祀 means to offer a sacrifice to a god or to your ancestors. 神奇 means miraculous or magical. And 祖先 refers to one's ancestors. In a similar vein, 士字旁 can also signify fortune. 福 alone just means good luck or happiness. 祝福 then means to wish good luck or to bless someone. 吉祥 means lucky. 欣喜 also means good luck and is often used as a phrase to wish someone a happy new year. Conversely, 祸 means misfortune or disaster. For example, 车祸 refers to a car accident. Most Chinese radicals carry a neutral or sometimes positive meaning. Not so for the next two that we will look at. The first one is 病字头, and it almost always signifies some kind of illness or disease. 疾病 is the general term for a disease. 瘟疫 is an epidemic. 癌症 means cancer. 疱疹 means herpes. And 癫痫 means epilepsy. The symptoms, 症状, experienced during an illness also regularly feature 病字头. 疼 and 痛 individually but also jointly as 疼痛 refer to pain. 疲劳 means fatigue, and 瘙痒 means itchiness. The radical can further be found in characters that describe mental or behavioral issues. 疯狂 means insane. 上瘾 is to get addicted to something. 癖 refers to a habit or a hobby, but often an unusual one, and can also mean fetish. As an example, 异装癖 means transvestism, also known as cross-dressing. There's also 内疚, which means to have a guilty conscience. And finally, there's also other physical conditions like 瘸腿, a crippled leg, 瘫痪, to be paralyzed, 瘦, to be thin, 疤痕 is a scar, and 痤疮 means acne. Even more morose is this character, Dai, meaning evil, but used as a radical, it further signifies death or destruction. Fortunately, there's not that many of these, but we will still go over a couple of examples. 死 means to die. 殉职 means to die in the line of duty, for example as a firefighter or a soldier. 残酷 means cruel or brutal. 遭殃 means to suffer a disaster, and 歼灭 means to annihilate. As a little bonus, and because I don't want to end on this slightly depressing note, we will look at 3 more food-related radicals. 米 means rice. It's used as radical in 糯米, which is glutinous rice, the sticky kind often used in desserts. Rice is also an ingredient of 粥, porridge, and 粽子, the rice dumplings that are famously eaten during the Dragon Boat Festival, 端午节. Mi also occurs in other food items like 糖, sugar, 蛋糕, cake. Hu is a paste or cream. For example, 芝麻糊 is sesame paste, and 饮料 means beverage. You'll also find the rice radical in some other grain-related terms, such as 粮食 for grains, 米粒 is a grain of rice, 菜籽 is a vegetable seed, 精米 is japonica rice, the round and non-sticky kind, and 糟粕 refers to dregs, basically residue of the grains that can't be used. There's also some words describing texture that use mi as a radical. 粗糙 means coarse, whereas 精细 means fine. 粘 means sticky, and 粉 is a powder. Next, we have the wine radical 有. You can kind of tell how it represents a wine jar. Even though the character itself is not really used anymore, the radical still conveys the meaning of wine or fermentation in general in quite a few characters. 酸 means sour or acid, and 酸奶, literally sour milk, refers to yogurt. 酱油, soy sauce, is made using fermented soybeans. 醋 means vinegar. 酿造 means to ferment or to brew, and 奶酪 is cheese. Unsurprisingly, one of the main meanings of the wine radical is alcohol. 啤酒 is beer. 酗酒 means to drink excessively. 酩酊大醉 is another 成语 that means to be extremely drunk. There are 3 jars of wine in this expression alone, so you can imagine the level of intoxication this describes. Conversely, 醒 means to be sober, or just awake in general. Lastly, a fun category for the chemistry enthusiasts among you. Many organic compounds also feature 油. Most commonly known is 醇, meaning alcohol, or more specifically ethanol. But there are also several others, some of which you can see here. It is somewhat reminiscent of the periodic table, where, for example, all gases use the qi radical. Last but not least, the food radical, 食字旁. It occurs in words like 饭馆 for restaurant, 饺子 is a dumpling, 馒头 a steamed bun, 馄饨 a wonton, which is a dumpling with thin skin usually eaten in a soup. 馅饼 is a stuffed pastry. And then there are also terms like 饥饿 meaning hungry, although 饿 alone is more common. 吃饱 which means to eat one's fill, and 解馋 which means to eat some snack that you have been craving. And that concludes this video. I hope it will help you expand your Chinese vocabulary. Thanks for watching.